We're going to start off the Tanya today. Perek Alef, Tanya. The Alter Rebbe starts off. Chapter 1 that we learned in the Gemara. You ready for what we learned in the Gemara in Niddah? We learned something very interesting. Before your neshama comes down to this world, there's a whole, your neshama comes up in front of a tribunal, in front of a beis din, in front of a whole bunch of angels. All these malachim. They tell your soul, you know when the president gets sworn in, he has to raise up his hand and say that he gives an oath of office, that he's going to do what the president's supposed to do. So before your neshama comes down to this world, you give an oath of office. The neshama has to come up and say, I swear that I'm going to be a tzaddik. And then the angels are like, and you're like, and not to be a rasha. And they say, and you're like, and even if the whole world tells me I'm a tzaddik, I'll look at myself like a rasha. So that's the first piece. That's a Gemara straight out of Maseches Niddah. What a strange Gemara. Be a tzaddik and don't be a rasha. Well, obviously, if you're righteous, you're not going to be wicked. Why do you say, I'll be righteous and I won't be wicked? And then after that, even if the whole world tells you you're righteous, look at yourself as wicked. But why would you look at yourself as wicked? Why are you looking at yourself as a rasha? Because I'll tell you, there's going to be one of two problems here. Let's imagine you're looking at yourself as wicked. What's going to happen? If you walk down the street every day, Menachem, walking down the street, I'm a wicked man, I'm a rasha. What's going to happen? Either you're going to be depressed. Even before this. Let's take a step back. Let's just say you're a halachic scholar. Let's say you're a scholar standing by the side when there's a new soul about to come into this world to be born as a beautiful baby in the country of South Africa. And it says, I swear I'll be a tzaddik, I'll be righteous, not wicked, and I'll always look at myself as wicked. So then this scholar standing by the side is like, wait a second. I actually was learning in Perek Alef. What does it say in the Mishnah in Avis? It says, don't look at yourself as wicked. So this doesn't make sense. The Talmud in Niddah tells you, look at yourself as wicked. The Mishnah in Avis tells you, don't look at yourself as wicked. Do look at yourself as wicked, don't look at yourself as wicked. Just from a Talmudic perspective, what are you supposed to do? How are you supposed to see yourself? As a wicked man or not as a wicked man? One says, best thing, always look at yourself as wicked. The other, never look at yourself as wicked. Weird. Let's go back to that in a second, because first I want to talk about this logically. Let's say you're walking down the street. I'm wicked. Yeah, let's go back to Menachem for a second. He's walking down the street. Everyone's like, hey, Menachem, good morning. He's like, I am wicked. And he thinks he's being really good because he's doing what it says in the Talmud. But just a second. Imagine if he's thinking I'm wicked all day, he's probably going to get really depressed. And if you're going to get really depressed, you're not going to be able to serve God with simcha, with joy. Which serving God with joy is one of the most basic foundational concepts of the whole Chassidus. As you can see right here, the first page of Tanya comes across that if something, he's coming from a place that obviously, if something's going to stop you serving God with joy, it must be a problem with that. That's something that we're going to have to figure out because that doesn't make sense. By the way, we say it every day in davening. We say the words from Tehillim, Ivdu es Hashem simcha, serve God with joy. It literally says it in Tehillim. You're for sure supposed to serve God with joy. So why are you walking around calling yourself wicked all day? So then there's someone else. Okay, Menachem might get depressed if he calls himself wicked. But there's someone like Hillel, he doesn't get depressed when he calls himself wicked. There's another option that could happen. And this is even worse. Someone could be walking down the road, I'm wicked. And you don't want to be depressed. So you're like, you know what? I don't care that I'm wicked. That's even worse. That's called being apathetic. Apathetic means I don't care. When I was in high school, there was a kid in my class who had a pencil case. Which you guys know how the periodic table works? So you have a box with two letters in it and a number, whatever. So if everyone out there who knows how the periodic table works, he had it said MEH, and it said underneath the element of apathy. It just said meh. You know some people, everything's saying meh. It's like, wow, look at the gorgeous view. Meh. Like, oh my gosh, do you hear? My dog just died. Meh. Like, wow, the Mashiach is coming. World peace was just made. Meh. Some people are like the apathetic, and that's the worst. So if you're looking at yourself as wicked all day, either you're going to get depressed, which is the worst, or you're going to just say, you know what, I'm wicked, but I don't care. I don't care about anything. I just don't care about anything. That's even worse than the worst. What's worse, to be depressed or just don't to care about anything? I don't know, tough call. Interestingly, over here, the Alter Rebbe says that not caring, apathy, he says, chas v'shalom. He says, God forbid. So it looks like the Alter Rebbe says that depression is the worst thing. Like he's going to say later in Tanya, in chapter 26, you're going to see over there, he says that depression is just a trick of your bad side of the Yetzer Hara to trick you into doing a verse, make yourself feel better. But here, apathy, not caring, that's even worse. There he puts in chas v'shalom, God forbid. By the way, about depression, I'd just like to say a very interesting story. That there was a Yid, Rabbi Lever, a great tzaddik, and he said there are two things that are not what they are, but are stronger than what they are. What are they? Number one is going to mikveh. The mikveh, immersing in the mikveh every day, like many Chassidim have the custom, is not a mitzvah. It doesn't say you have to do it in the Torah, but it can get you to a greater place than any mitzvah can get you. And what's the other one? Is depression. Depression, he said, it doesn't say in the Torah you're not allowed to be depressed. It's not an avera, but it can get you to a much worse place than any avera could. So Alter Rebbe's problem over here is how in the world are you supposed to, besides the fact that one Talmud told me to look at myself as wicked and the other says don't look at yourself as wicked, if I do look at myself as a wicked guy, I'm either going to be depressed or apathetic, and those are both disasters. So, let's get down and dirty. Because before figuring out whether we should look at ourselves as wicked or righteous, I can't figure out whether I should look at myself as wicked or righteous if I don't know what wicked is and what righteous is. I always thought I'm a righteous guy. And then sometimes I'm having a bad day and I feel like a wicked guy. You know what? We're just going to have to figure out what is tzaddik and what is rasha. Let's figure it out. You ready? You see Akha Inyan? However, let's get down and dirty. Because we find in the Talmud 5 different types of people. You ready for the 5 different types of people in the Gemara? We have a tzaddik v'toivloi. You see the line starts in Messina. I want to read this one inside. Tzaddik v'toivloi. A righteous man, and he has it good. He has a good life. He has it good. Tzaddik v'raloi. A righteous man, and he has it bad. Rasha v'toivloi. A wicked man, and he has it good. Rasha v'raloi. A wicked man, and he has it bad. He has a bad life. Beinoni, and the middleman, the intermediate, the in-betweener, the half and half soda. Like they say in Yiddish, nicht dahin and nicht daher. He's something different. He's a separate category, somewhere in between. So far, the Gemara just explained to us these practical facts about these people's lives. That one guy is righteous, and he has a good life, he's making good money, The other guy is righteous, and maybe he has some health issues. Maybe he's got something else going on bad in his life. Maybe his house just burnt down. I don't know, something crazy could be going on in his life. As opposed to the wicked man, he's going around doing bad stuff, but he's got a good life. And another wicked man, he's got a bad life. This didn't tell us anything very deep. It just told us some observations of different types of people in the world. Let's take one step deeper. So what's the Gemara going to explain? That why do you have someone who's a tzaddik, who has a good life, because he's a complete tzaddik? And a tzaddik who has a bad life, because he's not a complete tzaddik. So people ask, why do bad things happen to good people? Well, according to this Gemara, there's 2 types of good people. There's one that's perfectly good, and therefore God says, well, you're perfectly good, you should only have good things happen to you. There's no reason to have bad things happen to you. The other guy is not perfectly good. He's like 99% good. He's like 98% good. He's like very good. He's like right up there. You take him if you're looking for like a local tzaddik. He'd be like a 2nd round draft pick. You know what I'm saying? He's like really good, but not the best of the best. So what happens if such a person, just talking about from a very nigla perspective, without getting too deep, such a person does mostly good. So Hashem says, I want you to come because you did so much good. I want you to go straight to heaven, straight to Gan Eden. So therefore, any bad that you did in your life, you'll be punished for in this world. And then when you go upstairs, you'll be able to have direct VIP first class ticket to heaven. Beautiful. And I guess you could say the opposite about the other guys. Now, that's all we've discussed so far is some Talmud. Very, very basic Gemara approach. Now, what we're about to introduce is going to be for the rest of the Tanya, how we approach these guys. V'rai Mehemna. What does it say in V'rai Mehemna? V'rai Mehemna is part of Zohar, which were traditions that were taught to them by Moshe Rabbeinu. It says in the Zohar that Moshe Rabbeinu came and taught them. It must have been at least 1,000 years after he passed away. I know how I guess it's spiritually he came. And he taught them many traditions. And one of them, what did he say in Parashat Shpatim? He said, what does it mean tzaddik v'ra'loi? Tzaddik and it's bad, he has the bad, he has it bad. It means that the bad in him is leaning towards the good. The bad in him is subjugated to the good. That he has it bad. He has the bad. He owns the bad. The bad in him is completely controlled by the good in him. We all have a good part and a bad part in us. We all have good things and bad things in our personality. And the tzaddik v'ra'loi, the righteous man, who he has the bad under control. He's got some bad in him. The perfect tzaddik doesn't have any bad in him. The imperfect tzaddik has some bad deep down, but the deeper meaning of its it's bad for him is not a physical manifestation of his life. Rather, it's saying that his bad is under control by his good. So his bad in him is never going to come out. He's never going to do something bad because all the bad in him is under control. As opposed to, let's say, a Rasha, and it's good for him, means that the good in him is to a certain extent controlled by the bad. Like we'll find out in chapter 11, that he's not always bad, but sometimes the good part of him gets beaten out by the bad in him. So, now we found a deeper meaning that we're going to use for the rest of Tanya of what is a tzaddik that's good for him and what's a tzaddik that's bad for him. That one guy, everyone has good and bad in them. The tzaddik is good for him, however, somehow only has good in him. The tzaddik is bad for him, he has the bad under control. The Rasha that's good for him, wicked man has got it good, his good's kind of controlled by his wickedness. And the wicked man who has it bad is Evi. Fine, but we're going to never figure out what's the Baini, what's the in-between, what's the middleman. For that, you're going to have to come back tomorrow. I can't wait.